That is fairly minorly invasive when you're talking about such a very narrow vertical market. What kind of information? They already know I'm a baseball nut. But when you take a broad publisher, a publisher that deals in all manner of publication, okay? And so we're talking about Google now. Google doesn't do this. Well, Google doesn't do it this way. They're being accused of all sorts of other things, but a book publisher, magazine. Jimmy Pattison. He's a multi-talented conglomerate.
Duffy Books went broke today.
God, I thought they went years ago. No, they've changed hands years ago.
No, Cynthia's still the thing. They've announced they're closing the last store down today.
Oh, God.
You can't compete.
No, and I understand that one, too. Anyway.
Well, aren't we? This is what we're talking about, isn't it?
This is what we're talking about. Well,
I mean,
but she's a book reseller,
yeah.
but it's part of this overall problem.
Duffy Books was one of the
bookstores. But Duffy Books didn't
20.
go down because people were copying books. Duffy Books went down because of Amazon and other online
and
resellers
and so on,
well, you know, because you couldn't compete. Is that mine or yours?
That was yours. I have no idea.
Oh, somebody's phone was talking. I could hear it on the.
It was over there somewhere.
It's happened every once in a while.
Yeah, I know. It's a cell phone.
It's every time you lean that way.
Oh, okay, whatever. I won't lean that way. I'll lean this way, and then I'll be out of frame. So if we take a widely based publisher who publishes, soft porn, science fiction, cookbooks, all manner, technical books, university books, school books, they can get a pretty interesting picture of your life based on what you read and when you read it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Because they know if they've got DRM on the books that you're reading, Amazon Kindle, they know when you're reading that book, when you're looking at the pictures. If you're looking at some porn pictures at 4 o'clock in the morning, they know. And if you're looking at a physics textbook at 9 o'clock in the morning, they know. They know a lot about you.
That's if you've got a Kindle thing.
Now.
Or an e-book.
And you think Major League Baseball was the only one to turn something off? Amazon Kindle.
Yeah.
Amazon sold books, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something that was copyright in Britain but not copyright in the States. And again, if you send me an email, I'll get it for you. They sold e-books, sold hundreds of copies of it, and then the copyright owner in Britain complained, and they turned them off. I got an e-book. I paid for it. It's on my Kindle. I can't get into it. In fact, they removed it because Amazon controls the digital rights in the Kindle. They control what you can read.
So don't buy a Kindle.
They can take a book away from you.
So good idea not to buy a Kindle.
I haven't bought one.
I haven't bought one. But remember when Dr. Tomorrow, our buddy, was...
Oh, yeah.
With the first one that ever was shown, a beta copy.
Yeah, but just remember, he also had what was that Steal This Book?
Oh, yes.
We'll talk about Dr. Tomorrow again sometime. We got to get him on.
Yeah.
But so, digital rights management. This is another thing that the publishers want enshrined. Now, okay, so digital rights management, the original DVD, they, by dint of their patent and economic clout, they forced the manufacturers to put the digital key into all the DVD players and region code for different places. So you sent different DVD players to Britain, different to the Southern Hemisphere, different to Africa, different to North America.
Now, is there a PAL DVD and a North American DVD, or is it just the DVDs
are
identical? That's
the actual
the VHS and so on. That
yeah.
PAL and VHS was a whole different
DVD,
system. Okay.
That's all done in the...
So now it's just this key thing.
It's just the key. They did that, and then somebody came along and figured out where the key was stored in these things, and cracked it so you could rip a DVD and play it on your player. They got really upset with that and said to the government, we want you to outlaw cracking our digital rights management. It's called anti-circumvention.
Has the government done so?
That down in the States, they have done this. The digital rights, DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act, includes anti-circumvention in it. They have, and the United States has extradited people into the States who were going to talk about how they had cracked.
You don't mean
digital rights.
Extradited?
Sorry,
they've banned them from the States.
No, they've caused other countries to send them people.
Really?
So that they can be prosecuted in the States under the DMCA.
I missed this one, okay.
Okay? And understand, it doesn't matter what the technology is, and it doesn't matter what the technology does. You are not allowed to circumvent it. And here's a good example of what you're not allowed to do and what they are allowed to do or were allowed to do. Sony put out a half a dozen CDs that played fine in a CD player. You put them into your computer, and they installed a really interesting piece of software that took over your computer and installed itself in such a manner that you didn't know it was there, and that it couldn't be found easily, and that it knew exactly what was going on in your computer. It was called a rootkit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But it did more than that. It actually opened up a bunch of security holes.
Yeah.
And you couldn't uninstall it. When you took that CD out, first of all, it didn't ask you whether or not it could install it. It didn't tell you that it had installed it, and it didn't give you an option to uninstall it.
So now Sony's getting broadcast from your computer telling them when you downloaded some music or something?
No.
Okay, that would be.
It was in order to play that CD, you had to have that software in your computer, and it reported back to Sony every time you played it.
Okay.
Okay? But more than that, it broke your computer. They treated your computer as if it was theirs. And because of the anti-circumvention policy, you weren't allowed to actually go in and figure out that it was there, and if it was there, remove it.
And fix it.
You were not allowed. Now, Sony's been sued, and they actually withdrew these things and said, we'll replace everybody's, CDs. No. You don't understand. You have damaged my computer. That's mine. That's not yours. Mm-hmm. You have driven your moving van on my private road.
Mm-hmm. And damaged the road.
And damaged the road. You ran into my house.
Yeah.
In fact, you've not just run into my house. You built a bedroom in the basement. And you're storing things there.
Yeah.
And every now and then you're sending stuff out. You're making copies of my mail and sending it out to you.
Yeah.
So you have taken up residence in my house.
Yeah.
And they've been sued and they lost. But the law is still there. That's a very technical version of digital rights management. But it could be as simple as a Caesar encryption. Do you know what a Caesar encryption is?
Do not know.
Caesar encryption is basically you take all of the letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, etc., and you number them. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you have a clear text A, then you take the 13th and you do a rotation, okay?
Yes, I understand.
It's called rote 13. In fact, Usenet News used to use this.
Yeah.
So that what you looked at was not humanly readable. You had to run it through a filter in order to decode it. It's called rote 13. You wrote, the first letter became the 13th letter, the second letter became the 14th, and when you got to 26th, it wrapped around to the first. That's a Caesar encryption. They could encrypt your DVD with that, and you weren't allowed to decrypt it, even though it was trivial. You weren't allowed to. You weren't even allowed to figure out that it was rote 13. Okay? Now, first,